City of Norfolk Planning Commission. At this time, we ask that you turn off all pagers, cell phones, or other electronic signaling devices. The agenda for today's hearing is located in this council chamber lobby. Staff reports and maps for the City Planning Commission hearing will be available online approximately 1 week prior to the public hearing. To access this information, log on to www.norfolk.gov/planning. If you wish to speak on an item on today's agenda, you must fill out a request form with a staff member located in the council chamber lobby. We normally hear the items in the order in which they are listed on the agenda. The planning department staff will introduce each item by stating the type and purpose of the application and the location of the property. A staff member will deliver a presentation on each item, followed by a recommendation on each application to be considered at this hearing. Following the staff presentation, the commission will hear from the proponents and then from the opponents, if there are any. Anyone who has signed in to speak will be called by the chair, and they should approach the podium, state their name and mailing address. The speaker should speak directly to the commission and not to the audience. Remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each. However, the applicant's time will not be limited. After all proponents and opponents have been heard, the commission will allow rebuttal first from proponents, then opponents. Total time for rebuttals are limited to 5 minutes each. At the conclusion of the hearing on each item and after considering all information presented, the commission will take action on the matter. Action on the matter by the commission will be to recommend approval or denial by a majority vote. The statement of the motion in the affirmative by the member of staff is a matter of voting procedure and in no way indicates the recommendation of the staff or consensus of the commission. Following the action by the commission on the matter, a written recommendation will be made to City Council except for those applications where the decision of the Planning Commission is final. Anyone who attends the commission public hearing for a specific item will be notified by the city clerk's office of the date on which the City Council will consider the application. Susan, start the roll, please.
Mr. Pendleton?
Here.
Ms. Vann?
Here.
Mr. Wells?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
And note Dr. Whibley is absent. Mr. Bateman?
Here.
And Ms. Sutter.
I am here.
Okay, we'll start off with two Architectural Review Board items. The first one is 101 Park Avenue.
Good afternoon, Commission. So this application is to make improvements at Pump Station 129, which is located just across from Harbor Park Station, or Harbor Park Stadium, near-ish to the light rail station. This is the existing facility. There will be some interior upgrades made to this structure, but the primary point of this project is to add a new bypass stormwater pump that will be gas-powered and will be located just to the left of the structure itself, the existing structure. So the new facility will take the space of 2 of the existing parking spaces in the parking lot. It will be about the same height as the existing structure. It just will not be roofed. That's in part to help make the structure flood-proof. There are different requirements that will be needed. Should there be a roof, primarily access to the equipment itself as proposed. There is only a single man door. If they were to do a roof, it would cause them to have to do a double door and so on and so forth. But the same material palette will be used. There will be tan brick, cast stone, so it will look very cohesive on the site itself. These are just some section drawings here. And on the September 8th ARB meeting, the board did vote to recommend this to you all for approval as submitted with a vote of 8-0. And I can answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions? Comments? Thank you. We're ready to vote.
The motion is to approve the project as presented. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Vann?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter.
Aye. Thank
Okay,
you.
the second item for ARB is 1010 Church Street, Attucks Theater, installation of new signage.
Yes, so this application is for a wall sign and for the location of a new Virginia Historic Highway marker commemorating the Attucks Theater. That marker was approved by the State Review Board and Board of Historic Resources earlier this year. This is the location where the signage will go. It is at the northwest corner of the parcel. There is an existing marquee sign on the building as well as an electronic messaging sign on the other corner. The existing dimensional lettering sign that you see, the letters themselves atop the electronic panel, will be the same type of dimensional sign installed on the wall. The intention right now is to do about 10-inch tall dimensional letters. The preference is to backlight this signage itself. The applicant did provide an option to do in-ground uplighting should there be any issue with being able to provide backlighting to the wall structure itself. The location of the Virginia Highway marker is located in the center of the plaza area back by the wall, so it will frame the signage itself. The applicant had requested to install a solar light to provide exterior downlighting on the Virginia Historic Highway marker. The board did recommend this project to you for approval, but with the condition that that the marker not be lighted. That is an atypical condition for Virginia Historic Highway markers and would require a construction of an apparatus to attach to the pole, as well as not having sufficient information about the longevity of the particular light proposed. The board did recommend backlighting for the wall signage. So with a vote of 8-0, the board did recommend 5 conditions of approval with their recommendation to you all, that be that the location of the Virginia Highway marker be approved by DHR, that the marker not be lit, the typeface match the marquee sign. Final shop drawings come back to staff before a sign permit is released, and that if backlighting is not feasible, the in-ground uplighting option be permitted. All right, let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions? No? We're ready to vote? Okay, thank you.
The motion is to approve the project as presented. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter.
Aye, thank you.
Okay, before moving on to the agenda, we have some house cleaning items. We've got some continuances and a withdrawal. So the following items are being continued from the September 25th, 2025 public hearing agenda to the October 23rd, 2025 public hearing agenda. Continued item number 1, Harbor Inn for the following conditional use permits at 7924 Chesapeake Boulevard. Restaurant with extended hours, sale of alcoholic beverages on premises, and commercial recreation center. Regular item number 5, Kogan's Pizza for the following conditional use permits at 4311 Colley Avenue. Restaurant with extended hours, sale of alcohol on premises, live entertainment, and commercial recreation center. And finally, regular agenda item number 7, Shark Sports Bar and Grill for the following conditional use permits at 1524 Johnson's Road. A restaurant with extended hours, live entertainment, sale of on and off premise alcohol, and commercial recreation center. So the motion would be to continue these until your October 23rd, 2025 public hearing agenda. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
Ms. Sutter?
Aye.
Okay. And then the last item, you don't need to vote on this, is just a withdrawn, keep the record straight. Regular agenda item number 2, East Beach Square for conditional rezoning from RC Residential Coastal to conditional CC Community Commercial at 9523 and 9527 22nd Bay Street. That application is being withdrawn. All right, moving on to our agenda. The first item, we've got a consent agenda. So we've got 4 items that will be voted on in a block. Consent agenda item number 1, Duncan for a conditional use permit to operate a drive-through facility, large scale, at 3935 East Princess Anne Road. Consent agenda number 2, Tienda Latinos Unidos for a conditional use permit to sell alcohol off premises at 2354 Azalea Garden Road. Number 3, Timothy Mannion for a conditional use permit renewal at 2450 East Ocean View Avenue. And finally, item number 4, Victor Doe for a conditional use permit renewal, vacation rental at 9512 18th Bay Street. So the motion would be to approve these conditional use permits subject to the conditions contained in the staff reports. It's on here. All right, Mr. Pendleton.
Aye.
Ms. Van.
Aye.
Mr. Wells.
Aye.
Mr. Young.
Aye.
Mr. Bateman.
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter.
Before I vote aye, I wanted to thank everyone that's come out for the consent agenda. Just to let everyone know that, we do value your time, and thank you for coming out, and I vote aye.
Okay, moving on to, so the one item on the continued is continued. So we're moving on to the regular agenda. Item number 1, City Planning Commission for amendment to the zoning ordinance to require self-storage by conditional use permit in all districts where they are currently permitted by right. Andrew?
Good afternoon. As Susan said, this is a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance to require self-service storage units by conditional use permit where it's currently allowed by right. Self-service storage utilizes a significant amount of land with limited economic activity and job creation. Requiring a CUP would allow for a more site-specific analysis of the use and identify potential impacts to existing corridors and industrial areas. Here you see the definition. Self-service storage currently allowed by right in community commercial, regional commercial, light industrial, business commerce, office, business commerce, industrial, and by CUP in the transit-oriented development support and Granby-Monticello corridor. Here we see a map of the self-service storage units in the city. We roughly have about 30 and no active CUPs. For the proposed amendments, require a CUP in all districts where the self-storage is currently allowed by right. No proposed changes to the performance standards, and as mentioned, economic development does support this text amendment. Any questions?
I think we're ready to vote.
The motion is to recommend approval of the text amendment. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye.
Okay, the next item is item number 3, Plain Jane Garage LLC for the following conditional use permits at 1012 George Street. A, automobile sales. B, automobile repair and maintenance, major. The purpose of this request is to allow a motorcycle repair and sales facility. Scott?
Thank you, Susan. Good afternoon, Commissioners. The site is located on the east side of George Street, north of East Virginia Beach Boulevard in the Hollywood Homes and Maple Hall neighborhood. The proposed use conforms with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. This property is on CC Community Commercial. In this district, you need a conditional use permit for automobile sales and automobile repair and maintenance major. Here we see a picture of the site. A couple months ago, the Planning Commission and City Council adopted a text amendment to allow automobile sales and automobile rental on lots that are less than 20,000 square feet and 100 feet wide if they are exclusively doing motorcycle sales. The standard was changed to 5,000 square feet in area and 50 square feet in width. This applicant is proposing to do just motorcycle sales at this site, and he does meet those standards. So the applicant's proposing to be open from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and 11 to 3 on Saturday and close on Sunday. And again, the applicant is only operating by appointment. This is more of a specialty repair and restoration shop, not a let's have people come 24/7 shopping for all of their motorcycle needs. The applicant has also proposed to have all of the vehicles stored inside while he's working on them, not to use that exterior parking lot, although that's where customers would drive up. The barbed wire is a violation of city code, but the applicant has said that it has since been removed. Staff is recommending approval. The use aligns with Plan Norfolk 2030 and is located on a corridor with similar commercial uses. And again, the applicant's proposing very limited hours of operation and only be open by appointment. Stand by for any questions.
Thank you, Rob. We do have the applicant here, Wesley Francis. Mr. Francis, if you would start with your name and your address.
Yes, ma'am. So my name is Wesley Francis. Like you said, 1012 George Street is what it's referring to. Street address is 2510 Chubb Lake Avenue. And I don't have much else to add. I've stood before you before, but yeah, this is my grandfather's location. I'm just trying to chase a dream and keep it in the family, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So
Sure he'd be
thank you
proud.
guys for your time. Yeah.
Of course. Does anyone
Appreciate it.
have any questions for Mr. Wesley? I'm sorry, Mr. Francis. No? Thank you for coming out.
Thank you guys.
Any questions or comments before we vote? I think we're ready.
Okay, the motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Good luck.
Mr. Wells?
Follow the dream. Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye, we'll make that recommendation to council. Thank you for coming out.
Okay, the next item, Black Sea Restaurant and Lounge for the following conditional use permits at 635th Street. A restaurant with live entertainment. B, the sale of alcohol on premises. The purpose of these requests is to allow a restaurant with live entertainment to sell alcohol for on-premises consumption.
Thanks, Susan. This site is located on the northwest corner of 35th Street and Newport Avenue in the Park Place neighborhood. The site formerly operated as Crooker's Spot, which changed its names to Bricksters just before the pandemic, and it is currently vacant. Proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. The property is in the 35th Street pedestrian commercial overlay with the underlying base zoning district of CC Community Commercial. In the pedestrian commercial overlay, you need a conditional use permit to operate a restaurant with the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption after 5 p.m. and to have live entertainment. Here we see a picture of the building. Again, it formerly operated as Croker Spot and Bricksters. Looking at the applicant's floor plan, they do propose some outdoor dining, and I know there were some questions about where exactly that outdoor dining was going to be located. So you can see it's that area just under the wooden
Pergola.
pergolas, thank you. And then this is just another view showing that where the new residential is going to be. It does back up to it, but there is a decent amount of space in between those two. The applicant will be coming to you with some requests about modifying exactly how that space will be used, but I'll let them get into that. Here you can see the floor plan with 35th Street being on the bottom of the screen. You have the entrance on the bottom right corner, and then that outdoor dining area, again, is what we've been looking at the top left part of the screen. So Croker Spot was open from 10 to midnight Monday through Thursday, 10 until 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and then 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. on Sunday. Black Sea Restaurant Lounge is proposed to be open from 9 to 11, 7 days a week. The capacity is the same, 124 seats indoors, 10 seats outdoors, 164, but Black Sea will have a slight change just with their initial proposal was 113 seats indoors and 24 seats outdoors for that same total, 164. And the entertainment would be largely the same, karaoke, live band, comedian, and poetry reading, but with the addition of trivia, which I guess has become more popular since Croker Spot and Bricksters closed. Staff is recommending approval of the applications. The use lines will Plan Norfolk 2030 and the intent of the PCO district. The site previously operated as a restaurant. The applicant is proposing fairly normal hours until 11 o'clock. And as we do with all restaurants that operate with entertainment for the first time, we are recommending a 2-year expiration. I stand by for any questions.
We do have the applicant here, Karen Pitts. Thank you for coming out, Ms. Pitts. If you'll start with your name and your address, please.
Sure. My name is Karen Pitts. Look, I live at 604 West 35th Street, Norfolk, Virginia, 23508. I am asking for an amendment to the back patio area to see if we can have cigar smoking. I do have a lot of patrons that are looking to come in and smoke a cigar, and just a little small speaker just to have the inside music for the outside music, and it won't be loud.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, please stay right there. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Pitts? Please.
Ms. Pitts, so I noticed that you're staying open till 11 p.m. Is that outdoor activity going to be going till 11 a.m.
No,
as well
ma'am.
as the music?
No, ma'am. We'll be shutting that down to 10 p.m. Or, if no one's back there, we'll just shut it off completely.
So I also noticed that you have residents above and going to be on the side. If 10 happens to be too late for some people during the week, and if they came down to say something to you about it, would you adjust?
Yes, ma'am, I would.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had just a question, not so much a question, but just a confirmation that if approved,
Yes.
that area would not have any seating, no
No, ma'am.
chairs or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Pitts.
Thank
Unless
you.
someone else has any questions or comments before. All right. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming down. All right. Well, if there are no comments or questions, I think we might be ready to vote.
To clarify,
please.
to just, Susan will have to make a motion to address
Oh,
the
that's right.
applicant's request for the change in conditions. And once that's accepted, then we can do a modified.
Okay, so what we've done is we've actually modified already the conditions that we already had to reflect what the new thing is, so I'm just gonna read those. So it will say, the seating for the establishment shall not be less than 113 seats indoors, shall not have seats outdoors, and the total occupancy, including employees, shall not be 140, so that's one of them. No amplified sound shall be permitted in any outdoor seating area after 9 o'clock p.m. Sunday through Thursday and after 10 o'clock p.m. on Friday. And the last modification would be the outdoor patio area as marked on Exhibit B shall be a designated smoking area. No seats shall be provided in this space. Are we comfortable with those? I'm going to make a motion. Okay.
The outdoor music I thought was gonna be less, like, earlier.
So earlier than 9 o'clock Sunday through Thursday and 10 o'clock Friday and Saturday?
No, that's good.
Okay. All right. All right, so the motion would be to accept these modified conditions.
Rob, did you state that the applicant wanted to change those outdoor amplified hours as well?
Those were the changes.
Yeah.
That was the change?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye.
Okay, now we're going to vote overall. So the motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permits, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report, as well as the conditions as we just voted to modify. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Good luck. Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye. We'll make that recommendation to City Council. Thank you for coming out.
Okay. Skipping to number 6, Peck and Pour World Class Wings and Beer for the following conditional use permits at 1310 Collie Avenue. A restaurant with extended hours, and B, the sale of alcohol on premise. The purpose of these requests is to allow an existing restaurant to operate with an extended hours and sell alcoholic beverages for on-premises consumption.
Hello again. Location of the site, west side of Collie Avenue between Baldwin Avenue and Maury Avenue. This is in the Ginton neighborhood. Existing conditions are commercial, and proposals are the continued operation of a restaurant with extended hours operation, alcohol sales for on-premise consumption, and the purpose of the CUP is for a change in ownership. Proposed use is consistent with Plan Over 2030, designates the site as commercial. Zoning, Collie Avenue PCO, pedestrian commercial overlay, and the Collie Avenue PCO is CUP is required for the sale of on-premise alcohol sales after 5 p.m. and for a restaurant operating past 11 p.m. and the applicant no longer wishes to have entertainment. Here's a picture of the site. The picture on the right, you can see the rear parking area. Condition will be recommended to add some shrubs and plants on the verge and the property line abutting the single-family residential. This was in the original special exception, but has since died. Peck and Pour originally received a special exception in 2014 for an entertainment establishment and opened until 2 a.m. and allowed karaoke for live entertainment. The applicant has experience managing restaurants and hotels. Single-family residential is within 150 feet from the outdoor dining. However, since the building is between the outdoor dining and the residential, the neighborhood protection standards do not apply here. Here's a picture of the floor plan. No proposed interior or exterior changes are proposed. For hours of operation, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., 7 days a week, so reduction in 2 hours. Capacity roughly the same, 68 seats indoors, 16 outdoors for a total of 92. And as mentioned, the applicant no longer wishes to have live entertainment. Staff recommends approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report, and the Ginton Business Association and the Ginton Neighborhood League both support this application. Questions?
Thank you. We do have the applicant here, James DeFonso. Hi, Mr. DeFonso, if you would start with your name and your address.
My name is James DeFonso. I live at 1043 Brandon Avenue, Norfolk, Virginia.
Did you want to add anything to what was presented?
Not too much. This is simply a change of ownership. We're currently purchasing the LLC. She's got a working formula. We're going to take that and just make it better. Got a few plans I'd like to implement, and really speaks to the heart of Ghent. So I plan on, as a decorated Marine, I'm bringing some veteran discounts. Sister's a teacher, aunt's teacher's bring a teacher. Perks for a lot of the stuff. Vegetarian options, since right in the heart of Ghent, and there currently aren't any on the menu. So just going to tweak a few things and make a already working formula better.
Thank you for, well, I was just going to thank you for your service.
Oh,
but
I
you
appreciate
go on.
that.
Yeah, no, thank you for your service. Where's your experience that you said?
I've worked for Hilton and Marriott, but the last 7 years as director of engineering. From that, I take care of everything from project management, vendor coordination, financials, budget forecasting, P&L, $1 million projects to anything in the guest room, health codes, fire life safety inspections. So, the kitchens, I mean, the restaurants that run in our hotels as well, all falls on me if something, from equipment to health department to fire marshal coming in. So I've been doing that the last, 7 years.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments before we?
You still gonna call it back and forth?
Yes, at least, for the time being, at least for the first year, I'd say, don't want to make people think I don't know, I used to love Peck and Pour in the wings. No new person's coming in and they're not doing I don't know. I was a little nervous about changing the name at first, but once I start getting my foot in the door there a little bit more, I might consider it.
First, I was wondering why you were going from 2 a.m. to midnight, but when you said all these things that you do, I guess I understand why you're.
Well, no, it's not so much that. It's just it's more like I believe like from midnight to 2 a.m. Sometimes a lot of bad things happen. I'd rather my staff get out of there somewhat early, go home, or if they want to go get a shift meal somewhere. I think getting out of there around 3:34 just tends to exhaust people, and then God forbid you have to open in the morning. And so I'd rather bad things happen.
Very wise. Any other questions, comments? No. Thank you, Mr. DeFonso.
All right, appreciate it.
I think we're ready to vote.
The motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permits, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Hoo-ha, yes.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye. We'll make that recommendation to council. Thank you.
All right, skipping over Sharks. Number 8, Model Citizen Cocktail Supply for the following conditional use permits at 208 East Main Street, Suite 102, sale of alcoholic beverages on premise and off premise.
Okay. This applicant is Model Citizen. They're applying for a conditional use permit at 208 East Main Street, Unit 102. The site is located in the Selden Market, which is on the north side of East Main Street between Granby Street and Atlantic Street. The proposal is to allow a restaurant to sell alcohol beverages for on and off premise consumption. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates this site as downtown. The site is zoned D-BC and D-HO and CRO. A conditional use permit is required to operate a restaurant with the sale of alcohol beverages on premise after 5 p.m. and all establishments selling alcohol beverages for off-premise consumption requires a conditional use permit. This is the proposed floor plan. Model Citizen is a cocktail supply store and restaurant with limited seating and will offer tasting and mixology classes. Hours of operation and sale of ABC on and off premise, 7 a.m. until 11 p.m., 7 days a week. Capacity, 8 seats indoors. Total capacity is 15. Staff recommends approval. The use aligns with Plan Norfolk 2030. The restaurant is located in Selden Market where this use is encouraged and the limited capacity.
Any questions? Sherry? No? Thank you. We do have the applicant here. Josh Seberg, would you like to add anything to the presentation?
Hi, the Commission. Josh Seberg, 1405 Melrose Parkway, Norfolk 23508. Just to add some clarity on the hours, I'm asking for a permit from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. The general market hours are every day but Tuesday from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. Those would be our normal hours of operation. The extended hours are just there to cover special events and then any private classes, which would be ticketed or things like that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Seberg before he returns to his seat? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are we ready to vote? All right.
The motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permits, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye, we'll make that recommendation to council. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 9, Big Boss Burritos for the following conditional use permits at 905 East Ocean View Avenue, a restaurant with extended hours, live entertainment, sale of alcohol both on and off premise. The purpose of these requests is to allow an existing restaurant to operate with extended hours, provide live entertainment, and sell alcohol for on and off premises.
Thanks, Susan. The site is located on the southeast corner of East Ocean View Avenue and Elnora Street in the Cottage Line neighborhood. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. Property zone CC Community Commercial. In this district, as everywhere else in the city, you need a conditional use permit to operate a restaurant with extended hours of operation, for the sale of alcohol on premises after 5 p.m., and for the sale of alcohol off premises. Here we see a picture of the site. All of those signs that are on top of the restaurant have been removed. You can see the applicant has an outdoor dining area as well as an indoor dining area. The site formerly operated as a World of Good, and they've been open since February without alcohol. So the applicant is coming to add some entertainment, some alcohol to their business. I'm going to get up to the floor plan real quick. So you can see that the applicant is requesting entertainment both inside and outside. Inside would be in the area labeled karaoke with that red square. And then on the outdoor dining area, if you're facing the restaurant, it would be the back left corner. And the applicant has agreed to limit the hours of outdoor karaoke as well as the hours of outdoor dining as a balance between adding an asset to the business, but also protecting the nearby residential. So currently the applicant is open from 11 to 10 Monday through Thursday, 11 to 11 Friday and Saturday, and 11 to 9 on Sunday. They're proposing to be open from 11 to 11 Monday through Thursday, 11 o'clock a.m. until 1 o'clock a.m. Friday and Saturday, and 11 o'clock a.m. until 10 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. For the off-premise alcohol sales, state law requires that off-premise sales stop at 12 p.m. 12 o'clock midnight, 12 o'clock a.m. So it would just be until 12 o'clock midnight for the off-premise. Their capacity would be the same as it is now, 38 seats indoors, 52 seats outdoors for 93 total capacity, and the entertainment would only be limited to karaoke. The applicant has agreed to stop outdoor karaoke at 10 o'clock p.m. 7 days a week. The outdoor dining will close at 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 12 o'clock midnight on Friday and Saturday. Staff recommends approval. The use aligns with Plan Norfolk 2030. The applicant is proposing limited hours and forms of entertainment, so it's not entertainment until 1 in the morning. It's stopping earlier than that. And as we do with all entertainment applications for the first time, it'll be a 2-year expiration.
Questions for Rob? Please stand by. We do have the applicant here, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you for coming out, Mr. Gonzalez. If you would start with your name and your address, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eliodoro Gonzalez Jimenez Jr., and I live in 619 Helding Falls Lane, Chesapeake.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? And I apologize, on this form you said Gonzalez, but should it be Jimenez?
Both.
Okay, can't go wrong. Awesome, thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Jimenez? No? I think I did, I wanted to ask about the level of I guess, the volume for the outdoor. It appeared that there some hotel or something nearby or next door, is that right?
Hotel?
Is it, or
It's
is
a
it
condo.
apartment?
It's multifamily. It's a condo.
Multifamily,
Mhm.
okay. I was just, I think for myself, I was a little concerned that there might be some, I'm sure people might sit on their porches and enjoy it, but some folks might not. I was wondering about the volume. How loud do you think? Would it travel that far, you think?
No, just something normal. Just keep it for only for the
Just
people on
for
the
the
patio.
porch
Yes,
area.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
nothing
you.
crazy. No, nothing crazy.
Okay,
If any of the neighbors complain about anything, we can stop it right away. We can law it. So there's no big, no. I just wanted to make sure everything is good in the community.
okay. Thank you, I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Any additional questions or comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you
I think
very
we're
much.
ready to vote.
Thank you.
The motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permits, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
I can't see karaoke without alcohol, so I'm definitely in favor. Just keep it in mind.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye, we'll make that recommendation to council. Thank you again for coming out.
So this is Michael Dell for a conditional use permit for a renewal at 9407 for a short-term rental. The purpose of this request is to allow continued operation of a single-family home as a short-term rental unit.
Hello again. Location west side of Chesapeake Street between Wanareka Avenue and Modoc Avenue. This is in the Bayview neighborhood. Existing conditions are single-family residential, and proposals allow the continued operation of a short-term rental or vacation rental. The proposed use is consistent with Norfolk 2030, designates as a residential mixed. Zoning is MFNS, multifamily neighborhood scale. In this district, a CUP is required for all vacation rentals regardless of bedroom count. Here's a picture of the site. The applicant received the original CUP in December 2023. Atlantic Rental Homes will continue to be used for property management. Property meets all requirements. There was one violation in March of 2025 for listing more guests than permitted as the CUP. For the neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, 56% of residential parcels are single-family and 51% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 1% of residential parcels and 1% of residential units within 500 feet would be short-term rentals, and this site is included in those numbers. Staff recommends approval, subject to conditions in the staff report with a 2-year expiration. The applicant did conduct a self-hosted meeting and have not gotten any feedback from the Bayview Civic League. Any questions?
Oh, thank you. We do have the agent for the applicant here, Jennifer Wer. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Jennifer Weir.
Weir.
I'm just here to represent, it's my dad that owns the property on Chesapeake Boulevard.
Would you be able to give us any insights on the violation from March?
Yes, so it is rented through as an Airbnb site. So typically, as we all know, when you go in, you're renting it. The occupancy is limited. It only has 2 bedrooms. So we are suggesting only 5 people. Obviously, when people are renting Airbnbs, they're not always honest. So unfortunately, there was a large gathering there. It does have all your noise ordinance in the home. So we were alerted right away. We were able to get that taken care of between myself. My brother lives within 20 minutes of the property, as well as the Airbnb company, who is the property managers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's Weir?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Weir.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any questions or comments for Ms. Weir?
Just one clarification on the violation. I think was it listing over occupancy?
Yes, that's what I.
It was. They had a large gathering.
I think the violation is that it was publicly listed for more of a head count than what's acceptable.
Yeah, it was just, so there's 2 bedrooms with 2 queen beds.
Andrew might be able to
Yeah.
clarify. Okay, because it sounds like it's the difference between listing and
So it
actual.
was for listing. I don't know what the exact number was, but you can only have 4.
So I think,
It's 2 per bedroom. So
Right.
it must have been listing for 5,
It
which
must have
triggered the
been-
violation.
yes.
Okay, just 4
Okay.
from here on out.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, it's currently listed at 5. It needs to be reduced to 4 to be in compliance. Is that right,
the
Andrew?
Airbnb yes, correct. The
Should be 4.
Airbnb has already taken care of the property management company.
And it was, go ahead.
So you're saying, you're confirming that that has changed
Yes.
since March?
Last time I checked, it was 4.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. Does that answer your question, Mr. Young?
Yes, yes, thank
Awesome.
you.
It answers mine as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, I think we're ready to vote.
The motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter.
Aye, we'll make that recommendation to council. Thank you.
Number 11, Elizabeth Elby for the following conditional use permits. Vacation rental at 9602 10th Bay Street. A, for short-term rental. B, for reduction of parking. The purpose of this request is to allow the continued operation of a single-family home as a short-term rental unit with reduced parking.
Okay. As Susan said, the applicant is Elizabeth Elby, applying for a conditional use permit renewal at 9602 10th Bay Street. The site is located on the northeast corner of 10th Bay Street and Pleasant Avenue. The proposal is to allow the continued operation of a STR in a 5-bedroom single-family home with reduced parking. The proposed use does not conflict with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates this site as residential mix. The site is zone RC. The request is for a renewal of a conditional use permit to allow continued operation of a STR in a 5-bedroom single-family home. All vacation STRs in RC zone with more than 3 bedrooms are required to obtain a conditional use permit. Here is the site developed with 5 bedrooms, 5-bedroom single-family home built in 2018. The applicant has owned the home since June of 2023 and was granted a conditional use permit in December of 2023 for a vacation rental with reduced parking, which is set to expire in December of 2025. In the RC zoning district, a 5-bedroom home is required to provide 3 parking spaces. The site currently provides only 2 parking spaces, which is why they're requesting conditional use permit for reduced parking. As far as enforcement, there were 3 calls for service to police within the past year, 2 calls for noise, and 1 for a fire alarm. The property manager company did state that they called in due to an unauthorized event. There is currently no open zoning building code violations, no history of unauthorized STRs at this property. The applicant will continue to use Host My Home as their management company. Neighborhood analysis: within 500 feet, 44% of properties are single-family homes and 19% are residential units. If approved, 5% of single-family homes and 2% residential units would be short-term rentals. And staff is recommending approval subject to the standard conditions with a 5-year expiration date.
I do have a question. Could you remind me, when was that call for service?
It was in, I believe it was May of 2025.
It was just this past May.
Correct.
Thank you. We do have the applicant here, or rather the agent for the applicant, Sierra Alderman. Ms. Alderman, if you would start with your name and your address, please.
Hello, my name's Sierra Alderman, 2333 Dominion Avenue, Norfolk, Virginia. You'll have to forgive me, I am reading because I'm really bad with public speaking, even after all this time that I've done these, so forgive me.
All is well.
Okay. My name's Sierra Alderman. I'm the owner of Host My Home, LLC. I manage a short-term rental at 9602 10th Bay, which is up for CUP renewal. We maintain strict house rules and guest screening, no in-town rentals, no guests without reviews, and no events. Our typical renters are families visiting the city who are respectful and not disruptive. We have local staff available to immediately respond and a 24/7 service line. In addition, a dedicated trash company ensures waste is removed promptly after each stay. Regarding the party incident where police were called, or 2 of them rather, there was one for a fire alarm that they just were freaked out and called police. But regarding the 2 where police were called, I want to emphasize that while we do provide 24/7 response and monitoring of noise monitors and cameras, I will never put my staff in a position where their safety could be at risk. Our role is to be very proactive with strict screening measures and preventative measures, including remote tools like changing door codes, addressing minor disruptions directly. However, when emotions are high or a situation may escalate, we rely on law enforcement as the appropriate and trained resource. These instances are extremely rare, as you may know with the other properties we responsibly manage in Norfolk, and our goal is to always minimize the need for city involvement. As our company grows, we've also been in discussions with Sojourn, who also manages several homes in the area, about the possibility of retaining a private security service. We remain open to implementing this if future issues arise, as we are committed to addressing concerns collectively and reducing reliance on city resources. The property owners have complied with all city requirements, and I'm committed to ensuring this home continues to be a responsible and well-managed rental. And yeah, I did want to address, because 2 is definitely more than we ever have typically, so it was a stroke of bad luck for us. As you know, many of our other rentals in the area, we never come to you saying there are parties. This is, of course, a very nice home, so we have to watch this one a lot more. So we've trained our staff a lot more in this particular home. We have very good relationships with the neighbors. They know us, they have our number. So we've been just very proactive about this property, especially since the last party. So I just want to address that.
For that. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Alderman?
So these 2 incidences, I mean, I hear that you're concerned about your employees, and I think I would be too. But so when you call police, how quickly do they get there? Do they get there within the 20 minutes, or just?
No, it's typically where I'm stressing and watching the cameras, and it's about, I think that one might have been an hour and a half, that last one in May. So it took quite a while, but also we're seeing a lot of people on the camera, and we don't know the situation when we're coming to shut down a party. We're not trained in that, so it'd be a little concerning to just show up and just be like, hey, get out, you know. So
you said you screened them, and so I guess they get on a list to not to be allowed to rent again?
Right, yes, they're banned from the platform. We
Okay.
have their IDs, we collect their IDs, so we're able to prosecute with the police. Obviously, it's a mutual benefit that we don't want this for our company either. So, yeah. You're welcome.
Wondering how that,
Madam Chair, if you don't mind me asking a question.
Sure. Mhm.
Ms. Alderman, did your staff actually go to the property when that incident happened before you called the police?
It did not, no. It's because it was so late. We were watching remotely, but to be honest, I don't know what we would have done. We probably would have stayed in the car and just watched, talked to neighbors, waited for police. We're just not trained to go talk or have any really measures to deal with any escalated conflict. And again, I'm absolutely open to a private security service. I think we manage about 35 in the area at this point, and Sojourn manages about 30. So we are talking about, wanting to eliminate city resources. And like you said, the police have been taking quite a while to arrive. So we want to be proactive about this. It's, again, in mutual benefit for us all too.
Understand. And the one key is that 20-minute response time isn't just for you to be able to see the issue,
Mhm.
it's for you to actually go address it. So
Right.
my recommendation to you and your staff is, and others, is to assure you have someone that is trained in that, because that expectation from my staff
Mhm.
is that someone will go to de-escalate the situation and meet that 20-minute
Sure,
response time.
Sure. Well, and to be, just to be open, I absolutely would have somebody there. We had everybody watching and able to go respond. And I would love to continue the conversation with you, potentially privately, because we were there and awake and watching. But we either need a security service or some training of what to do to handle a situation where there's too many guests.
Understood. Yep.
Right.
Gladly talk to you.
Right.
We work with our team on a regular basis.
Right.
Just understand the expectation
Absolutely.
as we have for staff is not just someone to be able to watch it.
Right,
We will still
right.
get the phone call. So
Right,
that doesn't meet the intent of that 20-minute
Sure,
response.
sure. And we're very well aware of that rule, and we just, some of these situations, we're not quite sure what we would do if we were to be there on property.
So,
I
okay.
would think it would depend what you're seeing on the
And that's,
video.
Well, I was
that's
going to
factual as
ask,
well. That's factual.
was there
Yeah.
anything that you could share to, I guess, sort of explain the concerns about safety of your staff?
Yeah, I think there was just too many people at this party, and so I think, we didn't see weapons or anything like that, but when there's noise and loud, I think anytime hey, we're shutting you down, I don't know if, they're gonna just, okay, thanks so much. We can change the door codes, but oftentimes they're in the property already, so that doesn't quite help too much when they're in there.
If you showed up, you could have asked to speak to who you rented it to.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. And I do think these protocols need to be established. Like, I think we should have go to the property, speak to the person. But if it gets escalated, and again, I'm still concerned for the what if safety part of this. So we're absolutely responding in 20 minutes. We're there. It's just, we just need to have more discussions is really, yeah.
We can have conversations offline to
Right.
assure, again, we're not trying to put anybody in
Sure.
an unsafe situation, but at
Right.
the same time, there's a
Right.
meeting, something in the middle.
Absolutely.
And this is really a good learning opportunity for all of us. So thank you
Absolutely.
so my question is, so once the police showed up, did the residents, the renters, did they leave?
Yes.
So you were able to
Exactly.
evacuate?
And that's a great thing. I think about our ordinance right now is we have the noise aware, we have these monitors where they actually tell us how many devices are connected to the internet. So if it starts exceeding a certain number, it warns us, hey, there's way too many devices for what your house is supposed to have. So immediately we're aware that there's too many people. Immediately we can see on cameras. So the great thing is within an hour, we already know this is something we need to shut down. We cancel the booking on Airbnb. So the neighbors, we're already aware before the neighbors have even, hey, there's something that might be going on at your property. So this was all shut down within a few hours time frame. They're out of the house. Less property damage for us, less neighbor complaints. So as much as we want to be proactive, sometimes we do have to be reactive. They're getting a little more savvy with what they're putting, in their descriptions and things for why they're booking. So sometimes we have to be reactive, and we're always working to be more proactive. But anyway, to answer your question, there was just a few hours.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm so nervous.
No,
I
it's
always,
okay.
you can tell, but.
Yeah, I mean, we're way up here, and I'm comforted to hear that it sounds like a commitment to, I guess you already have a great relationship with our planning department. to talk offline about what to do next.
Right.
And maybe even develop a security plan.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
can be applied, and I love the idea of you working with other organizations like yours.
Right.
Pooling your resources in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before Ms. Alderman sits down, does anyone have any questions or comments they want to share? No, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you all.
Of course. Are we ready to vote, or do we want to have a discussion prior to? All right, I think we're ready.
The motion is to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye, we will make that recommendation to council. Thank you very much.
The last item, Jacqueline and James Vanderplas for a conditional use permit to operate short-term rental homestay at 5715 Carrillo Avenue. The purpose of this request is to allow the operation of a single-family home to operate as a short-term rental homestay.
Thanks, Susan. Location of the site, west side of Carrillo Avenue between Magnolia Avenue and Buckingham Avenue. This is in the Larchmont Edgewater neighborhood. Existing conditions are single-family residential, and the proposal is to allow the operation of a 5-bedroom home as a short-term rental unit homestay. Proposed use is consistent, plan for 2030, designates that as single-family traditional. Zoning is SF10, single-family 10. In this district, all homestays with 4 or more bedrooms require a CUP to operate. Here's a picture of the site. Again, this is a homestay. This is the owner's primary residence, and they do live there. Then they will be self-managing the property. The applicant has experience with operating a rental property in Hawaii, and as a condition, an elevation certificate showing compliance with flood regulations will be required prior to zoning approval. One violation did occur in February 2023 for an illegal operation of a short-term rental. For the neighbor analysis, within 500 feet, 95% of residential parcels are single-family, and 100% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 1% of residential parcels and 1% of residential units within 500 feet would be short-term rentals. And staff recommends approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report, the 2-year expiration. And the Larchmont Edgewater Civic League stated they did not receive any negative feedback. Any questions?
Any questions? We do have the applicant here, Jacqueline Vandenplas.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Vandenplus, 5715 Carrillo Avenue, Norfolk, Virginia, 23508. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming out. I know I have a question. I wanted to find out more about the operation violation from February of '23.
Yes, so just to be honest and transparent, we just weren't aware that we needed a permit. Truly, when we received the violation, I spoke to someone from the city planning. We stopped immediately. We just took some time and thoughtfully planned accordingly. I'm familiar with running a license, so we just paused, and so we're back. And of course, we want to adhere to the licensing and do things, in accordance with the city.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Ms. Vandenplas? No, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're ready to vote.
The motion was to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report. Mr. Pendleton?
Aye.
Ms. Van?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Bateman?
Aye.
And Ms. Sutter?
Aye, we'll make that recommendation to City Council. Thank you for coming out. And that's our last item, so we are adjourned. Thank you.